Okay, welcome. I thought I would do little flower for spring. Maybe, okay, it's not spring yet. Okay, is it focus? Whoa, and then I'm out focus. Autofocus. Um, Super quick, I wanted to go over a neat picture I found of the brain. And with this picture, what's awesome is that um, what was I going to say? That it really kind of highlights the different regions to help you study tonight. So let's go through here. Here's just the traditional photograph of the brain that you did. Not all of yours look like this, especially Rosa, you just stabbed yours. Yours is almost hairy. It looks pretty bad. And then I asked for you to remove some stuff. This is the hypophysis for the pituitary. So in this one, it almost impossible for you to do. I don't think anyone kept it on there, and that's fine because it separates so much. But I wanted to quickly go over the different parts with you. So if I were to obviously stick my little guy right there, that coordinates to here, and that is the pituitary, otherwise known as the hypophysis. It's the master gland. If you wanted to mention that there was anterior and posterior, um, responsible for releasing hormones into the blood. And if you noticed around there, very vascularized, a lot of blood around here, or blood vessels. So it makes sense that all those blood vessels came straight through there. If I were to put my needle right there, that corresponds to here. This is the pons. That is the breathing center. It sets the tempo for the breathing. Now, if I were to stick my needle right there, this is the medulla oblongata. The medulla can include the pons, and this is called the midbrain. So I'll just write midbrain. And really, the spinal cord traditionally doesn't start until you have a central canal. So this one, you can just barely see the central canal start, central canal. And of course, that'll have the cerebral spinal fluid, the CSF, in there. Now, this structure inside the cerebellum, if I were to point to the white regions in here, it looks like a tree, and it's named for a tree. It's the arborvitae. Arborvitae, V-I-T-A-E, the arborvitae. And then if I were to point to the gray, this gray region over here, that is the cerebellum. Cerebellum. Now let's go here. If I were to stick my needle anywhere under here, I think we're pretty good, knowing that this region right here is the fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle. It is continuous with what becomes, you can see it in here, a lot of you had it no problem, the cerebral aqueduct. So it is continuous with the cerebral aqueduct. So this is the aqueduct. There we go. And so then if we go up here, if I were to point to here, not all of you have this. This is the olfactory bulb. Not all of you have it. But all of you, pretty much all of you, have some remnants of the olfactory nerve on the underside. This picture obviously isn't showing that. This is the optic chiasma. So the cross is the chiasma, optic chiasma, and of course it leads to your optic nerve. Now, above that, in this region here, if I were to put my little needle right there, This is going to be called, hopefully we already know this, the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus. Now, you see the circle of the thalamus. So this is considered interior thalamus. And this whole round region, though, you definitely see the round region, that whole region. So here or here or here or here or here, anywhere is the thalamus. So both of these are thalamus. This is interior thalamus and the thalamus. So that is the thalamus. This is your penile body. Now, in the sheep, it was a darker color. Not everyone's was dark in this, which was interesting. So this is your pineal gland or penile body, melatonin, and regulating sleep. So penile body is dorsal to the thalamus. So right there would be the penile body, which is the penile body here. Now, this picture down here does not have superior and inferior colliculi. So we can draw a line. Superior is up top, inferior is down below. So that coordinates to here. We have the superior. This is going to respond to what you see. And then your inferior colliculi is the region down here. That responds to what you hear. It's like a reflex to see, a reflex to hear. Now, in this picture, the blood vessels were left in this. It's the fourth ventricle, continuous with the third ventricle here, and that is the choroid plexus, or what was used for pushing out the cerebrospinal fluid. Now, I asked you to pull those blood vessels out, and that is fine, but they are indicated in here. So this is just the choroid, OID plexus, and that's just for your cerebral spinal fluid. Now, the region right over here was not covered, or maybe it was, is your fornix. No, I don't think it was covered. Fornix. So this area right there is the fornix. So I don't think I'll ask that just because I didn't tell you about that in class. Now, not all of you have this region, but usually on both sides, because this is a septum. So this right here is a septum that runs in between this ventricle for the corpus callosum, and depending on where you sliced it, it's going to be on either one side or the other. So it's a thin membrane, a septum. In here, something pellucidum, septum pellucidum, I think. Septum pellucida, L-L-U-C-I-D-A. Septum pellucida. Now, this white region right here, anywhere, if I put my needle anywhere in here, this white region is right here, the corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. Oh, remember, did I tell you function of the thalamus was the nerves going, all the sensory nerves have to run through the thalamus. All the sensory nerves do run through the thalamus except for olfactory. So the thalamus region filters all the sensory nerves except for the olfactory ones. And we kind of saw that when you see that underneath. Corpus callosum is communication between the two sides. You can see how white it is. It is groups of highly myelinated axons. Now, your lab mentions, what does it mention? Some regions above the thalamus you can't see. Brandon was asking about it, unless you cut further back. So laterally, if you were to, we did a medial section. If we were to do a section laterally this way, then there are more structures under the fornix here. But so I won't ask you anything you can't see in this picture. So just remember that. Up here, this is the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe. This is the parietal lobe. And this is the frontal lobe. And then this is a gyrus right here. It's just the cingulate gyrus. And that is, yeah, some of you can see it very well. Remember, the sulcus is the fold, like the butt crack, and the gyrus is the curved part. So this one that goes around the corpus callosum is a cingulate gyrus, and you have one on both sides. So I really hope that helped you study at least internally for tomorrow. And don't panic. You get more than one. You get more than one bite at the apple, more than one shot, kind of thing. So anyway, have a good one, and don't panic. Oh, and we're coloring tomorrow.